And tomorrow, the Kingdom takes an unprecedented look at the Kansas City Chiefs' legacy. 60 years of highs and lows. Don't want to wait? You can stream all 6 episodes right now on ESPN Plus and Disney Plus. Time to read and react to some NFL news. Our number one topic, the home of the number 1 overall pick. Things got Nashville hot, according to our Teron Davenport. Quote, Jeffrey Simmons and Cam Ward got into it. Ward hit Ridley for a touchdown. Ward was going to. Calvin Ridley walked by Simmons, who put his hands on him, and it caused a scuffle. Simmons was running hot from the previous play. Sam Acho, longtime linebacker, any issue with this kind of energy at practice, especially with a number 1 overall pick at QB?
I love it. I love this kind of energy. Why? Because Jeffrey Simmons doesn't want to go 3-14 anymore. He understands that if he wants to win, this is a quarterback-driven league. And so if you're the quarterback, the number 1 overall pick, you want to be the dog. You got to beat the dog. You want to be the best. You got to beat the best. You want to be the leader of your team. Jeffrey Simmons is one of those leaders. So I think this is a situation where mutual respect can be gained and garnered for both individuals. I don't see Cam Ward as an individual to back down. So I love the fact that he's stepping up to one of the leaders of the Titans.
Yeah, and maybe, ignorance is bliss with the franchise. They've never drafted a quarterback first overall, so you let him play and see if that energy can translate to the field. There's a former number 1 pick under center in Tampa, but some forced changes around that offense, around Baker Mayfield. It was announced today, second-year wide receiver Jalen McMillan will go to IR with the neck injury, missing a minimum of 4 games for an offense already down a wide receiver, Chris Godwin, and left tackle Tristan Wirfs. They also have a new OC, Liam Cohen, taking the Jags head coaching job, and they just used a first-round pick on receiver Emeka Egbuka, number 19 overall, who's now in line to get even more reps with McMillan and Chris Godwin out. Mike T., you've done some roster gymnastics before in your day as a longtime GM. What is your level of concern with these injuries and that this offense will now take a step back this season?
Minimal, because we're not focusing on what they added. First of all, in the great history of Ohio State, their all-time leading receiver is none other than Emeka Egbuka. What a great draft choice by Jason Licht, the general manager of the Buccaneers. Draft a position of strength, so when you have a couple injuries, you can withstand it. To go out there on opening day with him, Cade Otton, and pending Hall of Famer Mike Evans is really the envy of most teams. Baker Mayfield had a great year last year, 41 touchdown passes. They'll be fine. I work with Josh Grzard, their new offensive coordinator, bright young coach. I don't think these are ideal situations, but they'll overcome them.
And in truth, something of a loaded question, asking if they're going to take a step back. The 41 touchdowns for which Mayfield threw last season, only Joe Burrow had more in the NFL. In Dallas, no update to the soap opera when it comes to a long-term extension for Micah Parsons, but Joe Buck and Troy Aikman addressed that during last night's Monday Night Football telecast.
The other side is, if you're Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys, how do you try to win or be great without Micah Parsons?
Well, you can't be. That's his leverage. His leverage is they can't win without him. Certainly worth every penny that he's ultimately going to get paid. The longer it goes, the more money he's going to make. So I wouldn't stress too much if I was him, but that essentially is the only leverage. Now, what are the Cowboys going to do? You think I know the answer to that? I don't think anybody knows what Jerry's ever going to do.
Adam Schefter, this morning on Sportsmanlike Radio, you used the term divorce when talking about Micah Parsons and Jerry Jones and Dallas. Eyebrows were raised, blood pressure was raised. What did you mean by that?
Well, Phil, essentially the two sides have not had any contract negotiations since late March or early April. It certainly sounds like the Cowboys are disappointed in Micah. It sounds like Micah is disappointed with the Cowboys. And Micah's request to be traded, which he put out on social media a few weeks ago, spoke for itself. He laid it all out. Since then, you would have thought that Dallas would have gone to him to try to appease him to do a deal. Instead, all we heard about was Jerry saying he doesn't know if Micah will play in the opener due to his back tightness, and there's been zero contract discussion since then. And I want to correct Troy Aikman there, the rare occasion that I will ever have the opportunity to do that. He was talking about the leverage that Micah would have. The leverage that Micah has is withholding his services, is saying that his back is tight all year long and not playing in the opener and not playing beyond that. And then after this year, then they would be in a situation where the Cowboys aren't going to let Micah walk. They would use the franchise tag on him. And if it continues to be the way it has been this summer and this offseason, you would think the two sides would look to divorce at that point in time. Now, there's time that the two sides can still salvage it, before the regular season begins 2 weeks from Thursday night. But up until now, there has been zero indication that that will happen. If they change their minds, sure, they can get something done. But it certainly doesn't feel that way, and it certainly feels a lot different than the way it did with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb when they got their deals done at a similar time last year.
That is a huge window of time. We're talking franchise tag 2026, and we're talking first game of the NFL season in 16 days. Longtime GM Mike Tannenbaum, what do you make of the state of the marital union in North Texas?
Well, look, it's bumpy right now, but we have 36 years of data, which is Jerry Jones, outside of Herschel Walker, doesn't like to move on from stars. So I think, listen, Adam knows what's going on better than anybody, but to me, the most likely outcome is nothing happens, meaning no extension, no trade, and then we just have to wait and see what Micah Parsons does, meaning does he pull a Jalen Ramsey and hold in, which is what happened in Jacksonville where he eventually forces a trade. I just think we're weeks, if not months away, because I think Dallas would be extraordinarily patient if Micah Parsons withholds services.
Well, Mike, who is Micah Parsons' agent?
David Mulugeta.
Who is Jalen Ramsey's agent?
David Mulugeta.
Yeah, same agent. That's interesting how that happens. And again, there is a lot of time for this to play out. But the way it's tracking, I think it's safe to say that it doesn't look like these two sides are going to be reaching agreement on a deal anytime soon, if at all. And right now, yes, things can change, but there's been zero dialogue, not some, zero. And that tells you that Dallas right now, again, is not moving in that direction. Mike is not happy. We heard his trade request. And I think that these two sides will be dealing with it all season before the franchise tag and a potential trade come into play next year. That's if they even get to that point.
Something that's not up for debate. This is an elite, extremely important player. 13 games last season, even with Parsons. Dallas needs him. They finished second for bottom in points per game allowed. Still ahead, Daniel Jones has been named Colts Week 1 starter over recent number 4 overall pick Anthony Richardson. We hear
your whole crew. Or you could spend $6.99 on a burger, which isn't enough to go around. 2 medium, 2-topping pizzas for just $6.99 each for the win. No matter how you slice it, nothing compares to Domino's.
Anything for Bud Light, official beer sponsor of the NFL.
Nice. Everything is really getting more expensive.
The average grocery bill is now at its
Prices are up, but not at Metro. We've lowered prices. One line of unlimited 5G is now $40, period. And a free Samsung 5G phone, only at Metro.
With NFL Network and NFL Red Zone, the action is inevitable.
Energy all day, all day.
Let's go. NFL Network is where 24/7 coverage meets unmatched insight.